Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic Network 1, and on X, Atlantic TV Nets. Today, I have Emmanuel Michael with me, the Prime Minister of the Airways. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Thanks for having me on this side of the divide, Antonia. So I'm very glad to be here this morning.
Always a pleasure. All right, let's get into today's headlines. We're looking at the Punch, Daily Trust, and the Daily Independent. All right, our first story, the Punch newspaper, will be looking at the headline here. Travels, presidency spends 34 billion naira on forex in 2 years. Foreign troops, aircraft maintenance, and then also Osun Assembly APC chairman clash over local government funds. Let's start with the first story, Michael. Tinubu Travels spends over 34 billion naira on forex in 2 years, maintenance of aircraft, foreign trips, and what have not. Do you think it's such a large amount of money for the presidency to spend on travels?
Definitely very huge. 30-something point for 34 point something billion. That is massive, just for a few individuals within the presidency. Talk about the vice president, the first lady, president himself, and the aides. And I mean, it's too much for a country that is almost starving its citizens because of the economic situation that the country is facing. And it might interest you to know that out of this figure, 2024 stroke 2025, copped up this sum of such a huge amount. 2024 alone, we are talking about a sum of 29.34 billion for 2024 alone. And then this 2026, we are just 1 month, all right, older into the new year. And if you rack up the total spending for just this year alone, less than a month, it got up to 5.4 billion naira. Now, if just a month, all right, the presidency can spend a sum of 5-point-something billion for travel, extra code, and other allowances. If you minus, if you times 5-point-something billion into 12 months, which makes a year, you're getting about 60-point-something billion, which is massive just for travel expenditures. And we are talking about a way to stabilize the naira. Now, when you are expending such huge in forex exchange, how do you think that a dollar, to naira is going to stable? Because we are rather dollarizing the system instead of nairalizing the system. So for me, I think it is very, very huge for such money to be spent by just a few individuals within the corridor of power. Now, first off, what are the priorities that Nigeria should be talking about? I'm not saying that it is wrong for Mr. President to make 1 or 2 travel, because no nation is an island. Of course, every nation have their bilateral relationship with other countries and other things, but then we need to curb this expenditure so that at least we can focus on the basis and the fabrics of what drives the economy. We are talking about the fact that the economic bantigism of the country is so harsh that it's biting upon its citizens. So what we ought to do, or what Mr. President ought to do, is to think outside of the box on how to reduce or curb this massive expenditure and plow back this money into the economy so that the people, the citizens, can at least smile for once. So for me, I think this massive, huge expenditure is not okay, and it is not something that we must encourage. Like I said earlier, it is not bad that Mr. President travels for maybe bilateral, issue on how to improve the economy, but then I think it is too much. The reason why Mr. President has ambassadors and other foreign ministers is to help him function, because you cannot be globetrotting every now and then, spending a hard-earned currency in dollars. All right? Whereas you are supposed to be at home to settle the issue. What about, the security challenge that we are facing here and there? All right? This is enough. If you plug this money into key sectors, we talk about the agricultural sector, you talk about how to improve, the level of security, I think it will go a whole long way, to solve 1 or 2 issues. But channeling this money for just a travel allowance, I think for me it is too huge, and it is high time Mr. President reconsider this move and see how to, of course, scale down the level of expenditure in terms of his globetrotting.
Okay, now let's look at the second story, also on the Punch newspaper, where the Osun State government are fighting over local government autonomy or local government funds. What do you have to say about that?
I think the Constitution is explicitly clear on this. Mr. President, some time ago, not even some time ago, we've seen a different president come and go. They they try to prioritize the needs that local governments should have their own autonomy, and their money should be going direct to them and no longer joint account basis where it comes direct to the post of the state government, and the governor oversees the affairs on how to disburse the money. But then the agitations was that the local government should have their own autonomy, and then if they have their own autonomy, the governor has no business, all right, on whatever the local government does with their money or how they get to spend it. But the House of Assembly member can also take a close talk on how such money is being spent. So for me, I think it is not something that we should even be discussing, because the Constitution is very clear. The local government autonomy, it has come to stay. And if some persons are still trying to, spiff into the purse of the local government, I think it's very, very unconstitutional. And such governors need to think twice. The reason why it looks as though our local government are not up there, unlike in the 80s, 70s, 90s, where if you get down to the local government level, you can see the level of massive infrastructural development powered and engineered by the local government, chairman. Yeah. But these days, you find it very difficult. When last did you see local government carry out a grading of roads? But then you see some major key transformation within the local government as being carried out by the local government chairman. Why? Because they are in charge of their money. When you say, okay, let's operate a joint account where the federal government send a monthly allocation to different states, including the local government, through the purse of the state, the governors will definitely have a major say. If, for instance, the state allocation, for instance, is about 20 billion, and it comes direct to the joint account of the state, the governor can say, okay, look, 20 billion is for the local government, but then I think I'm giving them 15 billion.
But do they have that autonomy to dictate how much they'll give to the local government?
They don't have. That is what I'm saying. Yes. That is ultra-vires. It is against the constitutionality of the 1999 Constitution as amended. It is wrong. All right? But sometimes the governor, they try to, wield such a power to the extent that they, feel that they are the author and finishers of everything that comes to the state, which for me, I think it is wrong. Yeah. If some of these local government chairmen are serious, they should take the governor to the court. All right? They should take the governor to the court. That is their right. They have the autonomy to determine how the money comes and how they get to spend the money. But the situation where they don't have the direct access to the money, they only take from what the governor gives to them. It looks as though they become beggarly. They are independent on their own.
Okay, unfortunately, this is all the time we have for today's newspaper headlines. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode. Up next is Blowout. Michael, thank you so much for coming in today. Hope to see more of you.
Definitely, we'll certainly be doing this every now and then.
Yes, we'll do it again tomorrow.
Definitely. Just that time could not permit us to go through the gamut, but then tomorrow we'll certainly be here on time so that we can delve into this some of these critical issues.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Prime Minister of the Airwaves. I am Antonia Alsabil. Up next is Blowout.